I'm just gonna say it. The 2026 NBA playoffs were one of the best postseasons in recent NBA memory, and I don't think that's hard to debate.
Get it ahead for James, slaps it over to Kennard. Lakers are down by 3 for the tie. It's good. LeBron James is money.
Hear me out. We saw a new generation of superstars finally make their mark on the big stage. We saw the old generation of stars showing the NBA world that they still had what it took to win in the postseason. And we saw a team finally climb the mountaintop and finally make the NBA Finals. Don't forget about New York's dominant run that lit the postseason on fire, or San Antonio's underrated run in the Western Conference that led to an NBA Finals series that went completely beyond everyone's expectations. The 2026 NBA playoffs were a movie to say the least, and it took us on a journey for the ages. To understand the insanity that was the 2026 playoffs, you need to see who made it special. So here are our 2026 NBA playoff contenders.
Yeah, back and I'm better than my first time. I learned if you don't have no struggle, then you won't shine.
The OKC Thunder are trying to become the first team since the 2018 Warriors to repeat as NBA champions. With a star-studded duo of SGA and J-Dub, the Thunder are easily the favorites to walk away with the trophy. The 4-seeded Lakers were one of the more interesting teams heading into the postseason, led by LeBron and Luka. However, the Lakers receive a major blow as Luka and Reeves are both out indefinitely for the first round of the playoffs, meaning the entire load is on a 41-year-old LeBron. Could LeBron turn back the clock one more time, or do the Lakers fall short of their ultimate goal? The Minnesota Timberwolves are a dark horse in the West, led by their cold-blooded superstar in Anthony Edwards. As a 6th seed in a loaded West, the Wolves have their hands full with the Nuggets. However, with the Ant-Man at the helm, anything is possible. The San Antonio Spurs are a young, energetic team, led by their MVP candidate in Victor Wembanyama. Paired alongside one of the best backcourt duos in Castle and Fox, the Spurs are easily one of the major favorites to win the Western Conference. Do the Young Bucks have a finals run in them, or do they fall short of their ultimate goal? Out in the East, you have the Detroit Pistons, a team that had one of the craziest one-year turnarounds that the game has ever seen, led by their superstar in Cade Cunningham. The Pistons are motivated to prove that this wasn't just a fluke season. Out in Cleveland, after adding James Harden to the team at the deadline, the Cavs are looking for some postseason magic. After falling short the previous 3 seasons, the Cavs are destined for a long playoff run. The Celtics are coming off of losing their superstar in last year's playoffs. However, Tatum makes a surprising recovery, and they're right back to business. Finishing as the 2nd seed in a loaded Eastern Conference, the Celtics are eager to add a 19th banner to their historic franchise. And lastly, you have the New York Knicks, led by their cold-blooded superstar in Jalen Brunson. The Knicks are coming off an Eastern Conference Finals loss to the Indiana Pacers last season. Finishing as the 3 seed for the 2nd year in a row, the Big Apple finally has faith that this is the year for the Knicks. The West was as loaded as it's ever been, while the East is as dominant as it's been in years. The stage was officially set for a legendary postseason. In the West, OKC gave Phoenix the belt in a dominant 4-game sweep, and the Spurs would give the Blazers the belt in a gentleman's sweep to advance to the 2nd round. However, the 3-6 matchup in the West didn't follow that same format. The Nuggets would take Game 1 in a thriller before the Wolves responded back with a Game 2 win to tie the series up at 1. The Wolves would carry their momentum into Game 3 as they would beat the Nuggets in a 17-point stomping to take command control of the series. With a chance to go up 3-1 in the series, the Wolves got slammed with heartbreak. In the first quarter of Game 4, Dante DiVincenzo would go down with a devastating Achilles tear. It was heartbreaking to say the least. Then in the 2nd quarter, their cold-blooded superstar would go down with a hyperextended knee, an injury that could take weeks to recover. This just got dangerous for Minnesota. However, Ayo Dosunmu would come to the rescue. He would rally off an insane 43-point night that saw him completely take over in the 4th quarter as he rallies Minnesota to a huge Game 4 victory to take a commanding 3-1 hold on the series. It was insane. The Nuggets would rally off a win in Game 5 to keep their season alive, but in Game 5, it was the Timberwolves' defensive monster in Jaden McDaniels who would go off for a stupid 32 points and 10 rebounds to clinch the series for the Wolves, as they're off to face an alien in the second round. In our last matchup in the West, it was Rockets versus Lakers, KD versus LeBron James. However, the Rockets got horrible news in Game 1, as KD would be out for Game 1. The Lakers would stomp on the Rockets in Game 1, as Luke Kennard went off for 27 points on 5 of 5 from 3. The Rockets would get KD back in the lineup for Game 2, but just like in Game 1, the Lakers trio of LeBron, Smart, and Kennard would combine for 76 of their team's 101 points as they get a huge Game 2 win at home and take a commanding 2-0 lead in the series. Heading into Game 3, the Rockets would again receive terrible news, as KD has officially been ruled out for this series. This was getting dangerous for Houston. However, they still fought. The game will remain close throughout, as the Rockets get a huge steal off a LeBron turnover to increase the lead to 6. Where I'd like to introduce to you, the Houston Miracle.
And the Rockets are going to be able to close this one out. Or maybe not.
Smart steps in front. Smith just had to get it to his teammate, and a foul is called. They will go to the backcourt, and Shepherd. James is there to greet him. Second body, Hachimura, and he turns it over. Get it ahead for James. Slaps it over to Kennard. Lakers are down by 3 for the top. It's good. LeBron James is money. 101. The Lakers create the turnover, and then they cash in from long range.
The Lakers were making an insane comeback in the final seconds as Marcus Smart would draw the foul, make all 3 free throws, and then a possession later, LeBron gets a huge strip on Reed Shepherd as he laces home a nasty 3-pointer that hits nothing but nylon to tie the game up at 101. It was insanity. The Lakers would fight off the Rockets' surge in the overtime period as they steal Game 3 and take a commanding stranglehold on this series. In Game 4, the Rockets would rally a win in Houston to force a Game 5 back in LA. In Game 5, the Rockets would stun the NBA world as they would barely walk away with a huge Game 5 win to force a Game 6 in Houston. Were the Lakers about to blow a 3-0 lead? Nope. The Lakers would run the Rockets off the court in Game 6 in a 20-point stomping as they're moving on to round 2 to face the defending champions. That's it for the West. Let's go out east.
I let you go for the first time, and I made mistakes to the worst kind.
In the East, the 1-8 matchup was an underrated playoff classic, Pistons vs Magic. The Magic would upset the Pistons in Game 1 to take a 1-0 lead in the series. The Pistons would then respond with a huge Game 2 win to get the series tied up at 1. Then the Magic will respond with wins in Game 3 and 4, and in a flash, the series is 3-1 in favor of the 8-seeded Magic. The Pistons are on the brink of becoming the 7th team to lose a series to an 8 seed. Their season could go up in smokes, but then all of a sudden, boom. The Pistons will rally off 3 straight wins to make the 3-1 comeback, and they're off to round 2 to face either Toronto or Cleveland. In the 4-5 matchup in the East, it was an interesting playoff matchup, Cavs vs Toronto. The Cavs will rally off a Donovan Mitchell 30 bomb to take a 1-0 lead in the series. Game 2 was a pretty good encore, as the Cavs win again to go up 2-0 in the series. However, a momentum completely changed in Toronto as the Raptors will rally off back-to-back wins to get themselves back in the series. In Game 5, the Cavs would barely escape with a 5-point win and take a commanding 3-2 hold on the series. However, in Game 6, the Raptors would need every bit of the rim to win.
On the move, toss out, Barrett 3, off the heel, and in! Can you believe it?
RJ Barrett would hit a ridiculous three that would bounce into the air as it hits nothing but nylon to seal a huge Game 6 win at home. A shot that was oddly similar to one in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. The Raptors get a huge win at home, and this is going 7. In Game 7, however, the Cavs responded. They would dominate the entirety of the game as they get a 12-point win to clinch the series in 7, and they're off to face the number 1 seed in round 2. In our 3-6 matchup in the East, it's another underrated duel. Knicks vs Hawks in a playoff rematch, and the Stars were out early. The Knicks would seal a huge Game 1 win at home to take a commanding 1-0 lead in the series. However, the Hawks responded in Game 2. They were lead throughout the entirety of the game, and CJ McCollum is going to the line with a chance to give the Hawks a 3-point lead. A 77% free throw shooter clanks the first, and I guess magic strikes twice in MSG.
Almost guaranteed here. And he missed both. Hart with the rebound. No timeout called. Get it up for Bridges. Put it up for the win. And he missed it. Atlanta comes all the way back from 14 down and ties the series. They win Game 2 in MSG, 107-106.
The Hawks survive a near collapse in Game 2 as they tied the series up at 1, and Game 3 was a pretty great encore. The game will remain close throughout, and with the Hawks down by 1 and a chance to win the game, CJ McCollum saves the day.
On the miss, if there is one, are you going to be able to rebound it?
Get it in. McCollum fires. Atlanta takes a 2-1 lead in the series.
CJ laces home a nasty mid-range jumper to win the game for the Hawks. It was insane. The 6-seeded Hawks have the number 3 seed Knicks on the ropes. This will be a crazy upset if Atlanta manages to pull it off. However, New York locked back in. They would pounce on the Hawks in Game 4 on the road to tie the series up at 2. Back in Madison Square Garden for Game 5, the Knicks would give a 29-point stomping and take command and control of the series. Then in Game 6, the Knicks would rally off the 6th largest blowout in NBA playoff history as they beat the Hawks by 51 points, and they're moving on to round 2. In our last matchup in the East, it was a familiar playoff matchup, Celtics vs Sixers for the 3rd time in 6 years, and it seemed like history was going to repeat itself. The Celtics would pounce on the Sixers in Game 1 and take a 1-0 lead in the series, while the Sixers would clap back in Game 2 to nod the series up at 1. However, back in TD Garden, the Celtics would rock the Sixers with 2 big wins and take a commanding 3-1 lead in the series. It was over. There's no way we're getting another 3-1 comeback, right? The Sixers would complete the insane 3-1 comeback over the Boston Celtics as they upset their biggest rival in 7 games, and they're moving on to round 2 to face the New York Knicks. That's all for the first round. Let's move on to the semis.
Can we be more than just a one-night thing? I got your
The Thunder and the Knicks would make easy work of their opponents in round 2, as the Thunder would give the Lakers the belt in a 4-game sweep, and the Knicks would pounce on the Sixers in a dominating 4-game sweep to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. However, the 1-4 matchup in the East didn't follow the same pattern. The Pistons would get a huge Game 1 win to go up 1-0 in the series, and this was immediately responded with a huge Game 2 win to take command and control of the series. However, back in Cleveland, the Cavs protected home court as they would win Game 3 and 4 with a combined margin of victory of just 8 points to get themselves back in the series. In a huge Game 5 back in Detroit, the Cavs would survive an overtime thriller and take a commanding 3-2 hold in the series. But this was instantly responded with a huge Pistons blitz in Game 6 to force a Game 7 at home. In Game 7 back in Detroit, the Cavs would put the belt on the Pistons with the 8th largest Game 7 blowout in NBA playoff history as they take out the East's number 1 seed to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. In our last matchup in the second round, it was the future versus the future, Wemby versus the Ant-Man in a huge playoff duel. Game 1 would give us a treat as both teams went back and forth at each other, and then the floodgates opened. The Wolves would take a 6-point lead with 49 seconds remaining. Wemby would then get a huge dunk to cut the lead to 4. The Spurs would get a huge steal off the inbound to cut the lead to 2. Then with the game on the line for the Spurs, with 15 seconds left, the Spurs would get one last shot.
Comes down to perhaps this. Off the heel. Rebound.
And Wemby. He said go. No timeout coming.
Champagny step back. The side of the rim. Cannot get it to go. And Minnesota comes in on the road and steals game 1.
Julian Champagny would miss the 3 at the buzzer as the Wolves get a stunner in Texas to go up 1-0 in the series. The Spurs will respond with a huge 38-point stomping to get themselves back in the series. The momentum would continue into Game 3 as the Spurs get a huge win on the road and take a 2-1 hold on the series. But it was immediately responded with an Ant-Man 30-piece as the Wolves tied the series up at 2. The Spurs would turn it into another gear as they would completely pounce on the Wolves in Games 5 and 6, beating the Wolves by a combined margin of 29.5 as the Spurs win the series in 6 games, and they're off to face the 2-time MVP in the conference finals. In the Eastern Conference Finals, we got a matchup that nobody expected. The Knicks versus the Cavs with a spot in the NBA Finals on the line. The Cavs would make an early statement in Game 1, as they would dominate throughout the entirety of the game and would hold a 22-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the game. In most instances, this game is over, but this is just the origin story, as I would like to again introduce to you the New York comeback.
He was very close to being acquired by the Knicks in the summer of 2022. Everything was pointing to the Knicks were going to get him from Utah, and then the Cavs swooped in and made the deal as Brunson, the floater,
to put that pressure back on the Cavaliers.
Brunson drives on Wade, scoop layup is good. By Harden wants a clear out. Fakes, drive, gets inside, pull-up jumper, got it.
Cavs might want a timeout if he scores.
Brunson, three-pointer, puts it in. Captain Clutch has come alive.
Anunoby floats it over to Shamet. Shamet a three-pointer.
It's good. Tie game with 44 seconds to go.
Knicks take Game 1 behind the brilliance of Jalen Brunson.
The Knicks would rally back down 22 with 7 minutes to go to take Game 1 at home. It was insane. The Knicks would carry the Game 1 momentum into Game 2 to go up 2-0 in the series. Back in Cleveland for Game 3, the Knicks toyed with the Cavs as Brunson and Bridges combined for 52 points and take a commanding 3-0 stranglehold on the series. With a chance to make their first NBA Finals in a quarter century, the Knicks respond with an all-out blitz in Game 4 as they beat the Cavs by 37 points on the road, and they're going to the NBA Finals. It was an insane run for the Knicks. After going down 2-1 to Atlanta in the first round, the Knicks have rallied off 11 straight wins to get themselves to the NBA Finals. It's easily one of the most dominant runs that we've seen by a team in the postseason. The Knicks win the series in 4, and they're going to the NBA Finals. But are they going to face an alien or the 2-time MVP? In the Western Conference Finals, it was a Western Conference rivalry, OKC versus San Antonio. This series was being advertised as a bloodbath, and Game 1 didn't disappoint. It was an all-out battle, as both teams were evenly matched throughout. The game will remain close until the end of the game, where SGA would get this insane layup over Stephon Castle to tie the game up at 101. OKC then gets a stop on the next possession, and we're going into overtime. In the overtime period, it was all OKC as they would take a 3-point lead with 53 seconds to go. It was all but over until Wemby did the impossible.
Spurs got numbers hungry now behind the play.
5-on-4. Wemby's going to pull a deep three.
Oh my goodness! A logo shot.
28-footer. Ties it at 108.
Wemby would hit an insane three that was damn near the logo as he ties the game up at 108. It was crazy. That three would send this game into double overtime, where the Spurs would finally pull away with a Wemby N1 slam over Chet Holmgren as they secure a Game 1 win to go up 1-0 in the series. Wemby would finish the night with a dominant 41 points and 24 rebounds and one of the best individual performances in NBA playoff history. It was unreal. The Thunder will respond behind an SGA 30 piece to tie the series up at 1. The Thunder would carry the momentum into Game 3 as the duo of SGA and Jared McCain combined for 50 points to rob Game 3 on the road. But it was immediately responded by a 21-point stomping as the Spurs get themselves back in the series and tie it up at 2 games apiece. In Game 5, SGA would show his scoring ability as he drops 32 and 9 to get his team a 3-2 stranglehold on the series. But again, it was responded by a 27-point rout of the Spurs as they forced Game 7. In Game 7, it was an all-out war, two of the best teams in the league going at each other's throats. However, this Game 7 will be the dawn of a new era as the Spurs survive a thriller in the final minutes and they're going to the NBA Finals. It was shocking. Nobody expected San Antonio to take out the defending champions. However, here they were, proving that a young team could win early in today's league. Wemby takes home the conference finals MVP and an all-out dominating series. It took everything to get to this moment, but here we are. We're getting a battle for the ages in the NBA Finals. At the beginning of the season, who would have thought? Knicks vs Spurs in the NBA Finals. It was a 1999 Finals rematch between these two squads, and Game 1 gave us everything we could have asked for. The two teams were at each other for the first 2 quarters, but it was the Spurs behind a Julian Champagning 3 as they take a 7-point lead heading into halftime. In the third quarter, the Spurs continued to pour it on as the lead would balloon to 14. At this point, people assumed it was over, but if you've been paying attention to the Knicks this postseason, you never count them out. Out of nowhere, their captain Jalen Brunson would lead the surge that the Knicks needed as he would go off for 19 points in the second half, as the Knicks would lead a furious comeback in the fourth as they get a stunner in Texas to go up 1-0 in the series. It was crazy. Knicks mania was still alive, and they struck first blood in these NBA Finals. Game 2 of the Finals was pivotal for both teams. The Spurs were trying to knot it up at 1, and the Knicks were trying to take a commanding stranglehold in the series. The game was again close throughout, but it was the Spurs who took an early 12-point lead heading into the third quarter. By the third quarter, the Knicks were on fire. They would crank up the heat heading into the fourth and found themselves up by 14 with 6 minutes to go. A 2-0 series lead was pretty much guaranteed for the Knicks. However, the Spurs didn't give up. The Spurs would go on an insane 14-0 run that will include a Wemby layup and a Dylan Harper mid-range jumper to tie the game up at 97. It was insanity. Wemby would get this insane and 1 to give the Spurs a 2-point lead. Brunson would then respond with a huge mid-range jump shot to tie the game up at 104. Then with 24 seconds left, Brunson would try to get a mid-range jumper, but it's short, giving the Spurs one last shot.
Won't go. Wemby the rebound. 12 seconds remaining. Stolen by Brunson and knocked down by Wemby. Brunson will shoot free throws with 9.5 remaining. Bridges on him. 4 seconds. Fox to Wembanyama. Pulls up. Jumper. Won't go. Rebound taken by Vassell. It's over. It's over. The Knicks survive. This magic carpet ride continues. 13 straight victories, and they lead 2-0 here in these NBA Finals.
Wemby would get the rebound, but then throws it off of Castle's back as he fouls Brunson with 7 seconds to go. It was heartbreaking. It was one of the worst chokes in recent memory. However, the Spurs got the ball back, and with 4 seconds remaining, Wemby would miss the game-winning shot at the buzzer as the Knicks robbed Game 2 on the road. It was crazy. The Spurs completely choked away Game 2, and it was due to a lack of experience in those big moments. The Knicks robbed Game 2 on the road, and they go up 2-0. Game 3 was back in the Garden for the first time since '99. It was electric to say the least. However, per usual in these finals, it was the Spurs who came out early. They would dominate the first quarter, finding themselves up by 12 with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. However, the Knicks caught fire. They would go on an insane 40-21 run in the second quarter to give themselves a 7-point lead heading into halftime. It was back and forth in the third as both teams kept retaking the lead heading into the fourth. In the fourth quarter, it was all San Antonio as they would continue to hold serve of the lead before Wemby would make this pass to Castle, who would heave up a 3 from deep as it hits nothing but nylon to give the Knicks a 7-point lead with 1:50 to go. That 3 seemed to seal it for the Spurs, as the Spurs maintained the lead until the end of the game, as the Spurs get a stunner at the Garden and rob Game 3 on the road. It was one hell of a response for the Spurs. The Spurs win Game 3 and are right back in this series. Game 4 was the most important game of this series. This could make or break a championship, and the Spurs understood the assignment early. They started off hot, with a 12-2 lead in the first 6 minutes. The Spurs continued their dominance as they were draining 6 threes in the first quarter alone to go up 20 on the road. The Spurs' dominance didn't falter as they continued to show their silky smooth jumpers as the Spurs would finish the first half with 14 threes made, the most 3-pointers made in an NBA Finals game at halftime. It was a historical night shooting for the Spurs. This great shooting night would continue as he would get him a 27-point lead heading into halftime. It was silent in the Garden. A 2-2 series tie was just 24 minutes away. Or so we thought. The Spurs continued to dominate in the third as they would get the lead up to 29 points with 9 minutes to go in the third. Now, at this point, this is the time where I would say it's over, Spurs win, let's go to Game 5. However, if you've been paying attention to the Knicks this postseason, you know it isn't over yet. So I'd like to introduce to you the MSG Miracle.
The Spurs, though, gotta love to see. That's what Johnson does best. He has not had a great playoff series. Anunoby with the flush. Brunson tries a 3-pointer. That's good. Checks in. Hart tries a 3. Hart hits a 3. And Brunson drew the foul. Counted at 1.
3 of the starters for the Knicks.
Alley-oop to Robinson. Beautiful pass from Brunson. Shot clock winding down. Towns off the bounce. Step back. Puts up the 3. It's good. Towns fakes, drives on Wemby, goes inside, stops, flips it up, shot is good. Corner 3, Anunoby, bang! 4-point game. Alvarado pulls back, spins, gets inside, layup, banks it home. Shot clock at 5. Brunson fires up a 3, pumps it in. 1-point game. Brunson, stutter dribble, drives inside, goes up, floaters up. It's good. The Knicks take the lead with 1:22 remaining. Shot won't go, rebound deflected in the backcourt. Fox has a chance to get it. Fox has it inside, blocked by Anunoby. 9 seconds remaining.
Flat for Jalen Brunson, allow him to operate at the top, 101.
Brunson gets it, fires up a 3. Shot no good, the chip is gone! It's gone! It's gone! With 1:2 remaining, Knicks take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106. They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Castle hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off a miracle comeback and lead it 3 games to 1. Now 1 win away from a title.
This couldn't be real. The Knicks, somehow, someway, make the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history as they come back down 29 points at home and take a stunning 3-1 hold on the series. It was insane. The Garden couldn't believe it. The Knicks just pulled off the largest comeback win in NBA Finals history. It was historic to say the least. The Knicks strike back in a huge way and are one game away from the NBA championship. Game 5 of the finals was back in San Antonio. For the Spurs, they were trying to become the second team in NBA Finals history to overcome a 3-1 hole, while the Knicks were trying to cap off the Cinderella run with their first championship in 53 years. The nerves were at an all-time high to say the least. The game would start off just like every other game in this series. The Spurs dominated early as they go up by 16 points off this Wemby 3 with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. It looked like this was going to go back to New York. However, just like all postseason, the Knicks fought back in the second half, led by their captain and Jalen Brunson, as he would drop an insane 45 points in what would be a closeout game for the Knicks, as Jalen Brunson becomes the king of New York.
You are the Heat. You do not want to give up a three at any cost. Brunson spinning. Brunson leaning. Shoveling into traffic. He turns it over. Brunson turns it over.
And the Pacers will set a record for the best shooting performance in NBA playoff history. And the Indiana Pacers back in the conference finals, first time in a decade.
This series was won and lost in game 1 by the Knicks.
Long shot, Halliburton. Oh! Tyrese Halliburton has gone mad. And for the first time in 25 years, they're going to the NBA Finals.
The fourth straight year, courtesy of one of the most dominant performances in NBA playoff history. In a game they led by as many as 61, they win by 51. For the second consecutive season, the Knicks will advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. They've won 7 consecutive playoff games.
Cavs might want a timeout if he scores.
Brunson, three-pointer, puts it in! Captain Clutch has come alive! Knicks take game 1 behind the brilliance of Jalen. Shot clock at 5. Brunson fires up a 3. Puts it in! 1-point game! The floater's up. It's good! The Knicks take the lead!
Flat for Jalen Brunson. Allow him to operate at the top. 101.
Brunson gets it, fires up a 3. Shot no good. The tip, it's gone! It's gone! It's gone! With 1.2 remaining, Knicks take the lead! OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106! They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Castle hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off a miracle comeback and lead it 3-1. Now 1 win away from a title.
These games have been down to the wire every time. I'm curious, how do you emotionally go through? How emotionally draining are these games, and how do you sort of refill it in 48 hours?
Yeah, it was a lot, and just happy we found a way to come away with a win. We got a lot to learn in these next couple of days, but our mentality has to be 0-0 the way it's been. It has to be that way, and I feel like us moving forward with that mindset can really benefit us. But it just there's nothing to celebrate. It's not over yet, not even close.
Wemby tries a 3, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
And this incredible team, congratulations. You're the 2026 NBA champions. The 2026 NBA Finals MVP is the captain, Jalen Brunson.
is everything we dreamed of. That's why I came to New York.
Pacers clinging to a 5-point lead. Halliburton tries another three. Bang! Tyrese Halliburton